Hey there and welcome to episode number 22 of I'm Just Gonna Say. It's a beautiful day here in the Netherlands, but incredibly hot. It's well over 35 degrees Celsius, but that isn't gonna stop me. So today I want to talk about how artificial intelligence will overthrow the economy. It might sound outrageous, but bear with me. Here we go for number 22. Okay, so I want to start this episode by giving a few examples of how far AI already is, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of that fact, and it really is quite advanced already. For instance, you have Google DeepMind, that's the big AI made by Google, and the way they are testing this all the time is by letting it play video games actually, and seeing how long it takes before it's better than any human at it. For instance, a couple of months ago they were doing this with Quake. You remember the old 3D shooter from way back, the beginning of the computer era, and it mastered it within like 3 days or something. And it was better than any human ever has been, and that definitely takes some skill because they didn't give it any instructions. To be clear here, they just made it play it, and they didn't tell it how the game worked, and it had to figure this out itself. So that's pretty advanced if you ask me. Another example is there's this software made to replace middle management positions completely out of the business, and that's quite effective as well already. It just does the jobs it can do, and the jobs it doesn't know how to do yet. It hires freelancers for that, and then it minutely looks at how the freelancer does that job, breaking it down into smaller tasks, and thereby learning how to do it himself. So those are two pretty good examples, I think, of how far it is already, and it's going 1,000 miles a minute, so it's going faster than most people realize. Let's go now to a little animation I made about the whole subject to get you guys started. Here we go. Computers and AI in particular are increasing their capabilities at an alarming rate. Thanks to processes like deep learning, computers are already outperforming humans in many fields. It analyzes complex tasks by breaking them down into many consecutive small steps. And this time,
I need a vacation.
no new industry will provide anything close to the amount of jobs needed to fill the gap, so to speak. Now this has been going on for a while. Just compare the amount of jobs Ford produced at the birth of the car industry with the amount Google created. It's more than 20 times less. So as more and more people lose their jobs, to the point where most of us will be unemployed, this could become a serious problem. Social unrest awaits. People will demand answers. One of them you might have heard about is universal basic income. What this boils down to is that everyone receives enough money from the government to make ends meet. Anything extra, though, has to be worked for. However, in a society where AI does most of the work, finding this extra income might prove difficult for most people. Because only a small percentage of the population would be able to work, it would fuel economic and social stratification. Another working elite, and we have enough of those already, I think. So if you look at all the facts, U.B.I doesn't make much sense. If hardly anyone is still making money from doing a job anyway, why not just do away with money altogether? Many people will say that it's human nature to abuse such a system. But how can we tell it is not society and its inherent scarcity that are causing these problems? When you think about this, it actually makes perfect sense. The vast majority of crime and abhorrent behavior, so to speak, is at the root of it all is caused by scarcity, by lack, if you wish. And then there's another small part that is caused by psychological problems, and mostly congenital psychological problems, because the other ones are often also caused by the environment. So, given that there is no scarcity anymore, and that everybody has everything they want, I think there won't be many people who abuse such a system. People will be far too happy to finally lead a life like that. So, plus there's the social ostracization process that prevents that too, I think. So, I wouldn't worry too much about that, actually. I want to show you guys another animation. About the resource-based society mostly. So here we go. So let's dive a little deeper into this resource-based society. The term was coined by a man called Jacques Fresco. He was an industrial engineer, a scientist, and a social planner who dedicated the good part of his life to designing the perfect society. He did this under the name of the Venus Project. So, as we discussed earlier, in a resource-based society, they used a scientific method to distribute the available resources in a sustainable manner. Deep learning AI is actually perfectly suited for a task like this. This also means that if it can't be done in a sustainable way, it won't be done. In addition to being resource-based, as the name implies, in a resource-based society, everything is free, because there is no money. In addition to this, in a resource-based society, there is no ownership. You use what you need and return it for the next person to use. But don't worry, everything will always be available, thanks to AI. This actually makes a lot of sense, especially for items you only use, say, 10 times a year. The other 355 days, it is laying idle, and that is not efficient. The key to all this is free energy. Natural resources already should be able to supply our energy needs. And if scientists and engineers all point their heads in the same direction, anything can be developed relatively quickly, including more efficient free energy. With energy free, production cost would approach zero, and abundance would already be possible for everyone. We just have to agree to make that leap of faith together. That is, taking a problem and turning it into opportunity. Because AI will either become our nemesis, or it will kickstart a new phase of human evolution. The choice is ours. The choice is ours. For more information. So, I have total faith that we're gonna make it towards this resource-based society, but I've always been an optimist. If not, we're headed for an orgy of inequality and social upheaval we haven't seen in a long time, or maybe never. I'm gonna end this all with a question I want to ask you guys. What do you think? Please leave a comment with your opinion. What's gonna happen? Are we gonna make it to this resource-based society, or are we going towards a horrible society pretty soon? Let me know in the comments. For the rest, like, share, and subscribe, of course. Love you guys, and until the next episode. Bye-bye.